Love is a fire, passionate, consuming, and full of life. But what happens when that fire turns destructive? When the warmth that once held you safe burns you instead? Leo and Aries, two fire signs, both fierce, both relentless, both unshakably passionate, had built a love that seemed unbreakable. Their connection was electric, a force that pulled them toward each other no matter how many times they clashed. But trust was fragile, and once broken, it was nearly impossible to repair. Nora loved with her whole heart. She was loyal, fearless, and unyielding in her devotion. To her, love was sacred, something you protected at all costs. She never imagined she would be the one standing in the wreckage of a betrayal so deep it left her breathless. Ethan was just as fiery, just as passionate. He loved her fiercely, but he had made a mistake. And now that mistake threatened to erase everything they had built together. She found out by accident, a late-night message, a name she didn't recognize, a lie disguised as an explanation, and then the truth. 3 months. For 3 months, Ethan had been unfaithful. Nora's world collapsed in an instant. The air felt heavy, her hands cold. The man she had trusted with everything had shattered that trust into a million pieces. That night, when Ethan walked through the door, his usual confidence was gone. Rain dripped from his hair, his clothes clinging to him, but he made no move to fix it. His eyes met hers, filled with something she had never seen before. Nora, his voice was quieter than usual, hesitant. She swallowed hard, trying to steady herself. But the weight of betrayal sat in her chest, suffocating. Don't. Her voice trembled, but her resolve did not. Just tell me the truth. How long? A pause, a deep breath, and then 3 months. It felt like a slap. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the couch, as if the world had tilted and she needed something, anything to hold on to. Why? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Why, Ethan? I gave you everything. I loved you with everything I had. Ethan ran a hand through his rain-soaked hair. I was scared, Nora. Scared of losing you. Scared of not being enough. He exhaled sharply. I don't have an excuse. There is no excuse. A hollow laugh escaped her lips. You were scared of losing me, so you chose to destroy us instead? Silence. The kind that weighs heavy in the air, thick with unspoken words and unbearable truths. The days that followed were a blur of silence. No screaming, no desperate apologies. Just a house that no longer felt like home. They still lived under the same roof, but the space between them was a canyon too wide to cross. Nora tried to hate him. She wanted to hate him. But love isn't something you erase overnight. Some nights she sat awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering when it would stop hurting, when the image of him with someone else would stop playing in her mind like a cruel movie she never asked to see. One evening, as she passed the living room, she saw him sitting there, an open notebook in his lap, his old habit, writing things down when words failed him. Later, when he wasn't looking, she picked it up. The ink was smudged in places, his fingers having lingered too long on the page. And then she saw the words, I would rather spend my life proving my love to her than live a single day knowing I lost her forever. Her breath caught in her throat. But could love really survive something like this? It wasn't just about what he did. It was about the choice he made. To lie, to betray, to take something sacred and shatter it. One night as they stood in the kitchen, another argument erupted like a storm. Fast, violent, uncontrollable. How do I know you won't do this again? Nora's voice was sharp, filled with pain. How do I believe you? Ethan's hands curled into fists at his sides. Because losing you was the only thing that made me realize how much I messed up. Because I will spend every single day proving to you that you're the only one I want, the only one I'll ever want. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Words don't mean anything anymore, Ethan. You said you loved me before. You still hurt me anyway. He stepped closer, his voice raw. Then let me show you. Let me prove it, piece by piece, day by day. She wanted to believe him, but could she? That night, as Ethan moved to sleep on the couch again, Nora hesitated at the doorway. She should let him go. She should walk away. but her heart still beat for him, no matter how much she wished it didn't. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "If we do this," she said slowly, "you fight for me, every single day." Ethan turned, his breath catching. "Every day, for the rest of my life." She didn't know if they would make it. She didn't know if love was strong enough to heal this kind of wound. But for the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to feel hope. Trust wasn't something that could be rebuilt overnight. But love was a choice. Some days the memories still haunted her. Some days she wanted to run. But then, there were moments. The way Ethan waited instead of pushing. The way he chose her, over and over again. The way he showed up, even when it was hard. Leo and Aries were fighters. They didn't give up easily, not on love and not on each other. Their road would be long, the wounds would still ache. But sometimes love isn't about perfection. Sometimes love is about choosing to fight for someone, even after the fire has burned you both to the ground. Would you be able to forgive someone who shattered your trust? Or are some betrayals too deep to heal?